It was my idea.
It's so inappropriate.
It was my idea. They already ate it.
Yeah, you bet it was.
Show. I just want to get fucked up on a big dick gummy.
That is the spirit
for sure.
Of the show. Have are our viewers live yet? Oh, good. Where have you guys been? We've been waiting here for like a minute for you to join us. Yeah. So, welcome to the show. I'm Marijuana Man, and this is From Under the Influence, and I will admit that I am, and have been for quite some time.
Me also.
And you can also tell that Jeff's here with me.
Yo.
Jeff Lundstrom's in the house, all the way from Saskatoon, and our good buddy indeed. Known him for many years, and glad to have him around.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Greg. And hello, Pa TV Land. And may we get high together. Dabs up.
Jeff puts together the Prairie Medicinal Harvest Cup. Is that the right order of all those words?
Yep.
Or the PMHC in the world of acronyms.
Our 9th year.
Yeah, stunning. Thrilled that it's been 9 years.
Brand new location. Secret location.
That's
correct.
It's not in Saskatoon.
It is in Saskatoon still.
It's in Puerto Vallarta. Quick, go!
Yeah, we had a long run with the event center downtown in Saskatoon, known as the Odeon or O'Brien's Event Center, and it's been a couple different names now. It's a booze company that has the name on it, Coors Event Center, but yeah, we are done at that location. Unfortunately, it served our needs for 8 years, and I guess we just sort of the cup is growing to a point where we need a new spot. So we've
cool.
Took us a little while, which we had to push back the dates for this year, so it's a little later in the fall than we're used to. So we're the second week in November this year, the 8th, 9th, and 10th. Remembrance Day long weekend.
Brr.
Yes. But everything will be everything will be indoors.
Everything will be colder, yeah, but
Everything
getting from
indoors.
to indoors is not Vancouver.
That's true. There's nothing I could do about it. I do have it straightened out for 2020. We're having it back again the first weekend in October. I've already secured those dates at the same new secret venue spot. So, and that's great because that'll be our 10th year anniversary in 2020.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, we're really excited.
That'll be a party. It's always a good time. I've had a blast every time there.
Guaranteed to be a good time.
Yeah, it's like kind of seeing family, too, because a lot of people are return guests year after year.
Yep.
And it's always such a nice, warm atmosphere of just a few of us, not vast hordes of the general public or anything like that, but no, way fun. Jeff looks after us really well. Everyone, lots of food, lots of frolic.
Got to make sure you have fun.
And the best fucking food, I've said it many times on this show, is in Saskatoon.
Yeah, we have lots of great food there, and I'm blessed to have great friends with great restaurants that let me close the doors and smoke everybody out. And I think there's only a handful of people who can say that.
Yeah. But the food, oh my God. Every place I've been to, quite frankly, like even the venue was at O'Brien's all these years, place next door, fucking killer roast beef sandwiches, hot roast beef sandwich. Next time, right across the street, there's a Korean restaurant opened. Best fried chicken. Like, I don't know, it didn't have nothing to do with Korea, I don't think, but it was the best fried chicken. What the fuck? Everywhere. Every restaurant I've been to has been stunning.
I think that's potentially why I'm the size I am. They got all this really good food in Saskatoon.
Well, I did think maybe you'd know. But however it's worked out, I guess that people appreciate good food, and the competition then would try to outdo one another in that respect.
Well, that's right.
To get you going to...
It's a very competitive market, so you have that value of quality, because that you're gonna always see that guy go to the dude who's got the best ribs or the best whatever
little
chicken,
smaller
right?
town, and I got a feeling people like to go out and eat in
Sure do.
Saskatoon.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fun.
Three-
Best eggs Benny had poached I've ever had.
Yeah, no, 3 things
Hands
we do
down.
good in the prairies: eat, grow weed, and get real high.
The last two are connected.
Probably. Yeah, there's 2 or 3 more connected to that.
It may be the other order that
Yeah.
we grow weed, get real high, and then eat good food.
So yeah, if you're of a mind around Remembrance Day, and don't forget, that's going on in Saskatoon, and you should look it up on your internettery and say, hey, how can I find a way to be there too?
We just launched our new website too. So we're really proud of the
Wow.
brand new website. We're still in developmental stage, but luckily tickets don't go on sale till August. So you got lots of time. But sasburycup.ca if you want to check out our website.
Yes, and do it. It's worth it and fun. So, yeah, what? Cannabis Day? We had that.
It was fun.
It was.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day too. Thornton Park, sun was shining. Everybody with
yeah.
their marijuana, lots of magic mushrooms I've noticed this year, which is nice to see the market, because I think Colorado legalized, and it seems.
Yeah, that'll be coming along.
And then, yeah, I think that's a push to probably see softer drugs like that to finally open market. But that's the first time I've really seen it like in more abundance than other cannabis days. So,
Well, I want weed first.
me too.
Those mushrooms
but
can
it's
get
just-
in line. Hey, you don't be ducking in ahead of fucking me getting good weed.
It's just
Come
nice.
on, just because. No. But yeah, Cannabis Day unfolded beautifully. Like, I don't know, it's just way fun doing this shit. We take it fairly casual. Cannabis Day after 420 is fucking massive and a fair bit of work to
Crazy
pull
party.
together. And
fun.
we meet just a couple days ahead of Cannabis Day now and go, oh yeah, okay, well, yeah, we'll show up. Yeah, I'll do the stage. And that was it. No, we don't have nothing written down. No fucking nothing. And it all pulls out beautifully.
It should be leisurely after 420. It's a big ordeal.
Yeah.
It's quite a thing to see unfold this year. I'm glad I came.
It was
25th
fucking
anniversary, right?
magic. Yeah.
And then what did they say? This was the 24th year?
24th year
for
for
Cannabis
Cannabis Day here in Vancouver.
Right.
Malmo, of course, would be quick to note that it started in Edmonton,
Yeah.
perhaps through his hand. I don't know, but certainly around it. He had a hand in it. But yeah, way fun. I like Cannabis Day because different than 420 is fairly... it's fairly intense running the stage and keeping on time and fucking working it, right? And Cannabis Day, I just show up with a piece of blank paper. And we go from there,
Pack of
and it
papers.
fucking works out.
Blank paper and
Yeah.
pack of paper. And away you
20
go,
joints. I
right?
rolled 20 Congo joints, and off I went to Thornton Park. And, oh no, it was a blast.
I enjoyed the day. I think there was a small sound crisis, or
Yeah, there's some audio problems happen.
something happened with a speaker got accidentally knocked or something.
Yeah, that was one of them.
Unfortunate.
But I don't know. There's something else fucking took. It
Jenny
was
ran out of
unfortunate.
gas.
Something. Yeah, the generator ran out of gas.
But hey,
Totally, just
things
fucking
happen.
dry. When someone was supposed to fill it up, but yeah, you don't think of everything till. But it went along pretty well, and
Did you see the cops show up, try to help a guy who was greening out?
No.
So I was sitting over by the edge, and I sent Neil over, because as soon as I see too many cops at any event that I'm at, especially since we got pepper sprayed in 2015, I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, so that like they roll up in a Suburban, like 8 of them, like a big cop Suburban, black one, and they all jump out and look really serious, and they were trying to find this guy that had eaten too much edibles, I grabbed Neil and said, "Hey, can you go see what that's all about?"
He
And
just
they
sent
went and
Neil to
blocked-
talk to.
Yeah, for sure. Then they went and blocked off the SkyTrain entrance. But the dude that was greening out was okay. He just didn't want to talk to the police. So Neil said it seemed like they were trying to make something out of it. So
You bet they were.
Because why would they send that many cops down?
To justify them having that many cops.
Holy shit! It's a lot of cops in the big suburban.
Oh,
like-
you bet there is.
like,
They
our
need the
tax dollars
fucking
hard at
budget. Budget money.
But other than that, he didn't want to talk to them anyways because that would have ruined his high even more when you're greening out on edibles. And that's a reminder to everybody that if you don't eat edibles, take it easy your first time. Don't show up to these cannabis days and the 420s and buy a bunch of edibles and then eat it all at once. Eat a quarter or a half and wait a little bit and see how you feel. You know, like people always overdo it. Don't be doing that. Right? You don't need to get that high. So,
Well,
that's
yeah.
for me.
At all of these festivals, we do provide a very easy, free space to go
To
and
relax
sit.
chill out. Yep.
But people freak out, which makes their friends freak out, and they demand that they call an ambulance because I am fucking dying. I never felt like this before, so I must be dying. And so
You're not dying. You're just.
that's
too
the only
high.
reason that people ever get involved with the ambulance and going to the hospital. It's because of that moment, right? So, yeah,
Turn
cannabis.
Jeff's mic up. Someone says.
Gotta talk into it.
I'm talking into it. Is that better?
There you go.
All right. I'm going to
What?
move it up then.
Mics.
There we
When
go.
the fuck
How's
did
that?
we get microphones? Nobody told me you were gonna record any of this shit.
Is this recorded? Is it live? I didn't.
Doubt it.
I didn't agree. I didn't sign a waiver.
Not sure we can prove that it's live, but
All right. Well,
this could
hopefully
have
everybody can hear
easily
me now.
happened an hour ago. You just don't know.
It could have been an hour ago, or it is an hour
Today's chat.
ago.
There's today's chat, just to prove that we're alive.
We are live.
No matter what the rumors say.
Oh, good to go, Jeff. Hey, okay. Thank you, everybody. Sorry if you couldn't hear me. Got a pretty loud voice, so I'm surprised. Apparently the mic wasn't close enough. Get a little closer.
Yeah, those events are fun for me. I tend to forget because we were so casual in the approach of putting it together that when I arrive, how much work I have to do actually to pull it together. But
Well, you post
there is
some nice
there
pictures.
is just no way to plan ahead, and it's casual enough during the day to just see who shows up and go from there, and it works out magically for me.
Now, do you think it's because the park is kind of a little bit longer and bigger that the crowd doesn't seem as big as it used to be at the art gallery, or do you think
No, the
that
art
the
gallery.
art gallery drew more
crushed.
people because it was there for so long historically?
Well, I don't know necessarily the logistics of it all. I don't think there's that many people attending, and the Crush on Cannabis Day, I don't remember the art gallery if it was just jam-packed.
No, it used to be
It's-
way. It
it's
used to flow.
usually-
Okay, you could
yeah.
walk around and stuff.
People had many other things to
But
do
maybe
on
just because
Cannabis
it's a
Day.
smaller space. Yeah, it's a busy time, busy
Yeah.
day.
But, at peak, there was quite a number of people there.
At 420,
Walking
it was
around.
a good smoke out for sure.
Yep, we gave out
Crowd
the
was-
joints, and
Crowd was loaded up and smoke was billowing up. I got a little bit on my Instagram. Instagram.
took my new wheels down there to have the 420 on site.
It was beautiful.
That was way fun. In fact, it was actually the first time I ever drove the car was that morning to that festival. So it was a big day.
I drove my minivan from Saskatchewan.
Been there, done that. Yeah, the driving. It's fun.
Through the mountains is beautiful. Prairie's a little boring. And you can contest.
It depends what you like.
Fair. That's fair.
I've driven the mountains a few times, and you go, I don't want to do this anymore.
Fair.
Once you get into them, it's fucking curvy, and unless, of course, the photo that was chosen by the universe for this week's show is, can you put that up, Anil?
Yeah.
Anil's here doing shit, if I didn't mention that. And here he is doing stuff now. This is the photo for today's show. This is the speedometer of a Bugatti Veyron.
I just like the name Bugatti.
Oh yeah, it's a
It sounds like a
For
dude you know that
Bugattis.
smokes weed in his mom's
yeah,
basement.
Bugatti.
Right? He's
Yeah.
like, I gotta go score a sack from Bugatti.
Bugatti be over
he's
later.
got that, he's got that OG Kush, and his
Yeah.
mom's not home.
But made me laugh that it'll go to 420. That's got to be a sativa. It's not a hybrid, that car at all. So it's not an indica either.
Well, no, not if you go that fast.
If you're going
That
that
high.
fast, it's got to be a sativa.
Got all the way.
Yeah. No,
It's the Bugatti strain.
watched a video of that car. I don't know that. Yeah, that car doing 417. They managed to do. Didn't ever see it do 420. But that's what we all strive for, is 420, isn't it?
Greatest time on
That's
earth.
what we all celebrate, is 420.
Yes.
So does Bugatti with a fucking $2 or $3 million car.
We just missed it by 3 minutes.
Couldn't even speak.
I wonder how many people have bought that car because the speedometer says 420 right on it. I would if I had that kind of dough.
What's one worth, you know? Did it come with a price tag when you looked
Oh,
it up?
they're $2 million.
$2 million for a whole... Yeah, no. That's a nice car. I'd see if I could just get this speedometer put in my minivan.
Yeah, I want
Right?
to. I mean, I'm gonna hunt one of those down.
She only does
like
about
this.
140.
Yeah, that's funny. There's a little shiny one from my car at Cannabis Day. Oh,
Nice.
it's a video, for God's sakes.
Oh,
A moment.
a moment in time. Ah, beautiful. Nice car.
Yeah, she's a beauty. Or he, I don't know. I call him Smokey. His name's
Smokey the
Smokey.
Bandit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it had a bit of an exhaust thing going on when we picked it up first day and drove it from Tawas, and then it was kind of smoky in the fucking cab and beyond the reefers. But no, Smokey's a good name for it.
Smokey's the name. Oh, I like the little walkthrough. That's neat. There's a lot of vendors. I saw a guy had a booth with like 40 different jars out.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was awesome.
it is
Stopped and
awesome.
Smelled some of those. They smelled quite lovely.
Like, even though perhaps we're a little bit casual about it, it is remarkable, absolutely remarkable in the world to be able to do this,
It is remarkable.
right?
Yeah, you
We
couldn't-
forget. I don't think we forget necessarily, but yeah, no one else can do this.
It never
just
happened
us.
in Saskatchewan, like in
No, it
Saskatoon.
won't. It couldn't happen anywhere.
Oh man, the cops would just show up, man, and just arrest every single human being there.
Yeah.
It'd be ridiculous.
There's no way you can do it, ever. Not in the whole world, ever. So that's remarkable to me every single time. Like, it's such a thing for me to regard how special and historical this fucking thing has become.
And I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, I heard that the police were quoted saying that they couldn't enforce the Cannabis Act, or they weren't there to enforce the Cannabis Act
Yeah, they're
in any way.
no,
I saw them, but
they're just there to just put in a shift. Pretty much, they don't care. Cannabis Day, they don't have very many resources, really enough to spread out over the number of events that are going on in the
well,
city.
the fireworks
right?
are
So,
huge, right? That draws a pretty big crowd to downtown.
something.
So there's something.
I don't
has to
know.
be
I didn't
controlled.
see.
Probably some drinkers in that mix too. I'm sure they got to deal with.
Everywhere.
Right.
So they just send a handful around, and they don't know what to do. So they'd be assholes in the morning over parking. They're really into that.
Oh yeah, I saw him
And
tow a
then-
bunch of cars off.
Yeah. And then at the end of the day, well, I don't know, Jeremiah, wasn't part of the conversation, but they had a conversation about the city said you'd be all, gone by like 8. And we were going to finish at 8 and then we'd be gone. But we actually finished early at 7.
Yeah, it's 7, right?
So people were packing up while these cops were having a discussion with Jeremiah and Neil. You know how fucking confused that can get them. But
Hey, talking to Neil just confuses me.
as I watched it, I thought, well, anybody who gets a haircut like that is going to be a cop. Looks right. Oh yeah, these guys had the cop haircut all fucking day long, both of them. And so I don't know what they're going on about, but anyway, while they were complaining about people not being out of there quick enough, I wish I had videotaped it, because behind them, all of the booths and stuff and people that were there disappeared. Because they were already packing up to go. They continued and left while this conversation with the cops was going on. And people were dismantling the stage and putting it onto a truck very neatly. And but that's all they did all day.
Neil asked me why they were hassling, and they said they wanted to.
Well,
Better places to be. Their 8-hour shift was done.
that's interesting, because that thought went through my head that they're probably wanting to leave. That's why they're concerned. But idiots. All day long, right in front of them, people broke the law openly. They sold cannabis, they displayed it, they gave it away. People smoked and consumed it right in front of them over and over and over. People had multiple jars of weed out on the table. People walking around giving weed out.
Yeah, myself personally, for like 8 hours or 9 hours of that day.
And the worst thing that could happen is that they get detained for a moment at the end. Then they come and talk to you. I gotta go. And you go, well, why don't... Should have said, well, why don't you go? Like, you've just ignored everything that could have happened.
Yeah.
Happened in front of you. It's not going to keep happening because they packed up and they're leaving. It's not going to keep happening. And even if it did, what's the difference? You let it go on all fucking day. What do you want?
Papers, please.
Really?
Thank you, sir.
Steps into the
Oh, we
embassy zone.
roll a joint.
Yeah, never to come back. So, no, it went off flawlessly, I think. And we'll do, I don't know, get fairly tired of doing it, in a way, because we just, I don't know.
This is year number 9 for me.
Yes,
I missed a couple here and there, but this.
but you
is
have to
9th.
do it. And that's all you can do, is what you want to do, the way it should be done. That's what you got to do.
I like Cannabis Day. It's a fun time. 420 was very. It's crazy, like you said. Just being backstage to watch all of it unfold is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was fucking big time.
But yeah, the
When I-
Cannabis Day is so much more enjoyable. You get to go around and see everybody and hang out. It's a little more personal. It's
Yeah.
it's a really special day.
When
We
I
always seem to
arrived
have
at
the sunshine,
420,
too,
huh?
so we always seem to have the sunshine too.
Yep,
So.
we're blessed with weather every time, everywhere. Here it rained and was ugly the very next day after Cannabis Day, and it was bright and hot and sunny the whole way through till just a little bit when it was right for the sun to stop pounding on us. But yeah, when I arrived at 4:20 in the morning of that day, I really realized how big of a show this had become. Oh my gosh. It looked like a fucking big show backstage, and then you go, wow. But it was no different than any time else, really. But me and Creed had just a blast pulling that day together. It was just so fun. We laughed so much, and just everything fell into place, and it really did. It just actually fell into place. Our whole trip, and it's a tricky thing. Again, on Cannabis Day, when I was faced with putting together some sort of program, you have to end at 4:00, because then shit happens to facilitate the giving out of the reefers and the smoke out at 4:20.
Joint roll
Right.
call.
So that's all the concern is to end at 4. And so 4:20, we got a fucking fairly together schedule and a wide range of entertainment and speakers and stuff, and instantly everybody went long. Right? Everybody that was out there went long, and things happened in between that made it even longer. And so right away we got quite behind. And out of the blue, or not, the scheduled speaker didn't arrive. The first speaker didn't show up. So we were actually so far enough behind, it was time for the second scheduled speaker. Let Mark in, would you? And
Mark is here.
it was time for the second scheduled speaker, and he was standing right there. So I put him on, and we caught up time like right to the second right then. Bang, it was back. So, yeah, it's a challenge, and just a fun one for me.
So, have you been at all 24 years, or how long?
No, probably not. I don't remember.
Couldn't say for sure.
Not too sure. Maybe Mark knows.
We'll ask
He
him.
knows a lot about me that I didn't know he knew.
That's the Z splitter, the Skittles that I produced on the last round of growing marijuana
Nice.
in my
Did you grow all that weed that's in those jars?
everything except these two. So I produced those 4. So down on the end we have the Skittles. This is the Exodus cheese, and then we had 2 phenos that I'm calling hazy and one I'm calling gassy, because they were just one showed more of a hazy trait and had a nice citrus smell to it, nice lots of red hairs, and the other one was kind of more like a gassy, kind of cushy, diesel almost sort of smell. But all of them produce lovely, and yeah, I got those 2 strains that I don't have a name for from Jade Ridge. Who was nice enough to give me a couple clones when I was starting to vegetate everything else. But I have 3
vegetation.
mums at home: was the Z Splitter, the UK cheese, and Jordan the Islands Blackberry Hammer, which is the
The
10-pound
blackberry hammer.
Time the Blackberry Kush.
Huh?
So yeah.
The next round
The mom
of
looks, yeah, the
hybrids.
mom looks really nice. Yeah, so it's when I get home. As soon as I get home from my vacation, I'll start growing again.
Well,
I'm down on the coast for a month.
nice. Well,
Yes.
that's good. So what else? That yeah. That's about it for Cannabis Day.
That was Cannabis Day. We were here. We were high.
Then we all went for fried chicken.
And everybody had a lovely evening.
Yes, it was quite delightful. Jeremiah's birthday falls on the 1st of July. So, yeah, a bunch of us went out and got juked chicken.
There you go. If you do the bud cam, that's that Skittles strain that I like to give a shout out to Cultivating Happiness on Instagram. They provided that lovely strain for me to grow, and that's came from the U.S. From a private stash from a seed vendor. So we were really lucky to get the strain to be able to grow it here in Canada. So
Nice.
yeah, I really
Delicious.
like it. Has a
Very
beautiful
tasty.
aroma. Tastes quite delicious.
You know, if you like that kind of thing.
Yes, if you like tasty marijuana with a high THC content that gets you stoned.
Grown really well.
That's right. Flushed
I
to
don't
perfection.
know. A lot of
and-
people don't, they don't care really. That's why the LPs are doing so darn good. So, I don't know, out there in the world today, Canopy Growth just turfed Bruce Linton.
See you later, Brucey.
But it's all just fucking bullshit nonsense what goes on in that
Did
industry.
they say you got fired?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they let him go. Probably with not too much notice. But I don't know. I think when they made the deal with fucking Constellation Brands, they gave them a big chunk of that fucking Canopy Growth for billions.
Right.
And so I think they just exercised their option.
They got $5 billion from that wine
Yeah.
company, right?
So they turfed him. So I guess. Oh, and their stocks fell.
Imagine that, $5 billion. Like, that's disgusting. I don't even, man. Like,
Oh no, it's just unspeakable
So
amounts of
much
money. It's
money.
crazy. You can't even think about how much money these clowns, guy like Bruce, has had his hands on and what he's done with it.
right? It was like that greasy Brett Zettel with Prairie Plant Systems. What did he sell out for? Like $3 million?
Yeah, they've all as much as they
They
can
made it-
possibly get.
Ton of money off for growing shitty weed. That's impressive, man.
So their stocks fell. You go like, really? You have this much confidence in Bruce? Right? That the stocks fell because they got rid of him? Didn't you see? Didn't you see? Didn't you listen? The guy's a fucking thug, as far as I could tell. Had nothing to do with it. Like, they just were given the golden ticket. The golden ticket was cannabis. Right?
Well, did you see that article?
Anybody could have been him.
You see the article that said that Canada could have been the world leaders in cannabis had they not literally shit the bed on it. They got, I can't remember where the story was, but it's just they were like, we could be showing the rest of the world how legalization could be, and instead we're just caught with our
Yeah.
pants down, looking like ass clowns.
Well, it's
Way to go,
true.
way to go, government!
Yeah, the
Wait.
government gets their hands on anything, they just
They-
fuck it up.
They privatize it and let people run it, open and fair, and things will change.
They didn't need to do anything.
Yesterday was a prime example. Or Monday, sorry. Monday was a prime example. Cannabis
Well,
Day.
really?
Open, fair market.
What are they whining about when it comes to cannabis here in our world?
Weed. Whining about weed.
They suggest, they don't ever say really, they suggest that there's some potential health and safety risk to have cannabis in our world. That's,
Well,
all they say.
That's what they continue to say.
Yeah, that's all
They have
they
no
have
proof of
ever
that.
said. No one's ever asked them to show what that is to justify all the fucking rules that you put on it out there. Like, it's just ludicrous insanity, but it's funneling huge amounts of money into certain places.
So now they have a vested interest in continuing to press the rules.
Yeah, and they're hell bent to figure out other ways to have huge amounts of money funneled their way.
They're efficient at it, and that's the thing that worries me, Mr. Marijuana Man.
Huh?
They said they're efficient at what they do, so that's what scares
Oh,
me.
yeah, I don't know. They're fairly efficient at
They're
what
not
they
efficient
want
at
to
growing
do.
weed, but they're
No.
definitely efficient at
No, no.
funneling money towards their needs for growing weed. So I think, and that's all by shareholders mainly. The people who invest in these companies that don't know that they don't know any better.
It's ludicrous. Oh, no, it's just a big cha-ching fucking dollars in your eyes, all of them. It's an open market, is the way they see it. And it is.
But
Right.
not when you're reporting quarterly losses in sales across the board.
Well,
What Ontario's talking about opening 50 new stores. Hey, your little lotto. Your little lotto to get a license. You better have a fucking, what did they say, $250,000 in the kitty portfolio?
yeah, you need $250,000 of fucking assets plus an additional $50,000 line of credit You also need $75 for the application.
At least they kept the application fee low.
Yeah.
Hey, what was the application fee here in Vancouver? Like 30 or something?
30 because it's a big cash grab for them. It's a cash grab for everyone. This is all that's actually gone on in the cannabis industry is people have grabbed cash.
Yeah.
Billions and billions of dollars have just gone out the fucking window because of the way these guys have legalized cannabis. It's just flown out of here by the fucking billions. It really has.
Thrilled about it.
It's insane.
Like Canopy Growth, what the fuck, have become this fucking multi-billion-dollar company based on nothing that they've done or anybody that they're even associated with other than fucking Snoop Dogg.
But did he never ended up doing any endorsement because they won't let advertising happen in Canada, right?
Until they
announced
want to advertise themselves. They do it all the time. They did it by hiring Martha Stewart to do it. They did it to hire fucking Snoop. They fucking, right? Lots of articles can now be talked about with fucking Martha Stewart about cannabis, and in every one of them that she does, Canopy Growth Association is mentioned. Right?
Right.
So, you go, oh, I get it. You can't do it, but you can do it. So, celebrity endorsements be damned. They don't know anything about cannabis either. I don't know. I'd just like somebody to figure out a way where I can just have good cannabis the way I like it. What happened to that? I don't give a fuck about anything else for now. I'm getting tired of this shit where the weed, the way I would like to have it, is pushed aside again to allow damn near anything else. As fast and as furious as they fucking possibly can. They have to. Well, there's our good friend
I'm just
Mark Emery.
There would be some weed here.
There's plenty of weed. Here, I'll twist you a joint. Got some Congo here on the desk. Yeah, Mark's here in the house. We'll prove it. He's down in the right-hand corner. How are you?
Hey, good. Hey, I just had a great time July 1st down at Thornton Park. You know, in a way, that's the romantic version of what we see now at 420. And I say the romantic
For sure.
version because
Well put.
basically it's nothing but people. There's no glitz of a star. And, of course, we all had so much fun with Cypress Hill and Be Real, so that was amazing and a wonderful, historic day. But I just think that the 420s of the future are going to be going back to the future, and we will revert to these more friendly, less moneyed kind of things. I mean, I got to say that 420 probably costs a staggering amount. People have no idea. I bet it's $500,000.
Yeah.
The taxpayers have no idea. But that's not sustainable, I think, because next year it's on a Monday. And, one day we're going to get shitty weather. And we kind of do.
Well.
And we don't know what the legal landscape might be or how they'll be. So you know what? If people show up, and we get like 30, 40,000 and people setting up booths at a reasonable price, and it's probably still going to be a great time, just like it was at Thornton Park. I will tell you, I liked it a bit more, Thornton Park, because I could meet everybody. I had room to breathe. I could talk to people, right? And, when we 420 is so spectacular that who the fuck is not going to show up? Like, I mean, people came for hundreds of miles. Why? Because there's nothing else in the world like it. Or was. There's really nothing in the world like Thornton Park. That's a charming, beautiful little thing. And there are jurisdictions in the world now that are legal. You could do that in Uruguay and other places, right? But Uruguay is a big country of just 4 million people. Yeah. This happened right downtown Vancouver on Canada Day. We called it Cannabis Day. And as always, nothing bad happened anywhere all day. Nothing. Nope. There were mushrooms being sold. There was cannabis being sold. There were edibles. And I saw one little girl who's having, she's like 23 or 4 with her family. And she's taken too many edibles. And she's sitting there sweating it off, really. And
Well,
but that was it. And I asked if she was all right and some various remedies I know. And I said, what she'll really want to do is not hear anyone talk around her. That's the first thing. Shut up, please, is what I always wanted to say when I'm sick. Because everybody says, can we help? No, just shut up.
Yeah.
Right? I
Leave me
need to
alone.
just let this pass. There's nothing you can do. And then the other thing I said so quietly, I said, is just make sure, you stroke her head and let her fall asleep. If she falls asleep, that's going to be great. And I would let her sleep for at least a couple hours, right? So you might be here a while, but, But that was it. I was there for 5 hours, and that's the only slightly necessary. I wouldn't even say it was a medical thing. That's just a consequence. Young kids will take too much. Better they should take them around their family and surround people who know what to do and just sleep it off, right?
Yeah.
We don't need to
That's
send you to
gonna happen
hospital
to you.
like they do at 420 and we have that big crew. I mean, those guys were doing good work, too. And, of course, the biggest health anomalies are usually not cannabis-related, in my experience.
Yep.
They're,
In all these years.
They could be mushroom-related. They could be alcohol-related, in my
Mostly.
experience. Yeah. And
Yeah,
so,
the only other
but,
thing I saw,
they
they-
spent a lot of money on emergency first aid if it was necessary. At 40. And those guys were on it.
worst
and
case
That was a
scenario.
tight scene. But you know what? I don't know how the future of cannabis, life network anymore too, and that was the most incredibly slick, beautiful broadcast I've ever seen
It was
of any
very
cannabis
nice
event
to
that
have.
went on for 8 hours. But the cost is staggering. When I saw the booth, 16 screens, I said, "Man, this is like Live Aid. We've got a sophisticated operation, almost like Live Aid, a one-time thing for 100,000 people, and we got it covered from every angle." I've never seen such a sophisticated operation doing something cannabis-related, and it actually actualized the dream of mine that one day we would have TV shows just like this, just dedicated
like
to us, or even a cannabis television network, right, with shows like this. And I saw, hey, it can be done. This was beautifully done. It was slick, but you know what? It cost a fucking fortune.
Yeah.
So who's giving money to pay for that? So some people come and go as sponsors, right? Everything just worked out this year just right.
Yeah.
But the landscape for
By the
sponsorships
skin
will
of
be
her
different over time. And so I'm thinking of all these things, and I'm thinking, I love this thing at Thornton Park. And if 420 got transferred to Fort Thornton Park, it's not big enough, because the great thing about 420 is the land has to be flexible, because we don't know how many people are coming. If it rains, maybe 20,000. But if it's beautiful sunny, it could be 50, 60, 80,000. So even Thornton Park can't accommodate more than 5 to 10,000. Right? Thornton Park will fill up at 10,000 packed. It'll be packed at 10,000, right? So that you can't
Plus
move
all
it.
the
It's going to
vendors.
be at Sunset Beach. And I just think next year we might want to make it a little more home scale like that. Just emphasize the people aspect of it. I still think it can be wonderful
that idea.
without spending as much
Yeah,
money. Because I don't think we'll
it's
ever have
become
that
crazy.
replicated again. I think that was just the most perfect peak 25th anniversary. And maybe we should just accept that can't be outdone.
Sure, you can't be. For sure.
Pretty tough.
No, that's what I'm
for
thinking.
sure.
Maybe we
It's
should just
on a
accept
Monday.
that that's the
That's
high
the
point.
pinnacle of it.
Doesn't mean it's not going to be lots of fun. My whole point is it should be lots of fun, but
Just
we're
in
going to
a
have to
different
make
way.
more of the fun.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even mind seeing 2 or 3 smaller stages instead of one gigantic stage.
Thought of that, too.
Where everything's happening at one, and why not 3 different kinds? And it's just not loud enough to really bother the other ones. That's just the way it is, right? Again, more modest level stages, but clear, like raised. Right, but stuff that's a lot cheaper. Like when I heard at Thornton Park, the whole thing was $6,000, and it was like $250,000 for the one at
Yeah,
Sunset
for
Beach, or
one
some
Sunset
shocking, staggering thing. But then it was a big deal. That was a giant stage, but we don't really need a giant stage. People are going to come anyway, right? And we don't really need Cypress Hill. It would be great, but those guys were a lot of money. Right? And people joke about, I'd like to get them. I said, no, you wouldn't. That cost is incredible. Those guys make a lot of money to show up for an hour or two.
Tons of money.
Right? So all things being equal, I really liked yesterday. Now,
Yeah.
nobody paid for the booths. They should pay something. There's going to be costs. We'll still have to get porta potties, and we'll still have to anticipate the grounds and what have you. But there's obvious areas where we don't need, and you'd hardly notice, because everybody'd still be having a good time. Right?
No, it was.
I'd say we should take over more of the land and spread it out more. 420. I would say we're going to take more of Sunset Beach. I'm sorry, but in exchange
That's a
for
good
that,
idea. There is
in
more
exchange for all the land we're going to need this time to spread it out, which you'll really appreciate in the long run. A little more accessible, please, for emergency people. Will be the giant packed-in crowds, which can pose hazards over a sustained period of time. Crowds can get fearful, like at the Toronto Raptors thing I was at. I had already left, but somebody, of course, pulled out a gun and shot a few people and started a stampede, of course, as people panicked, right? That's always the risk in
that's
dense
what you want.
areas like that, right? Is that a panic can happen.
That's the worst case scenario.
So if we open up for more space, there'll still be all the smoking and all the things that bother some people, but, we probably won't have a big name band. We'll probably have more local talent, a few more stages, I would think. And I think that would be a lot of fun. I think people at the one side would feel a little more like they could go
Well,
to
it always
something.
used to be local talents and local DJ.
Yeah, and Vancouver's a major city. We got a lot of good talent here, so it's not like there's a problem there. So, but I think let me just say it'll be on a more human scale. Because this year's was superhuman. That was like, it can't be beat. It just can't. I was there. Every minute I savored it. It was beautiful. And whatever perspective I was on the stage. I was selling T-shirts. I had a booth. I met people. It was just beautiful everything. Beautiful weather, beautiful weed. The ocean looked fabulous that day. It sparkled with the sun reflecting off it.
Oh, no, it was
And,
stunning.
the Cypress Hill was everything we'd hoped they were. That was a good time. They were appreciative, too. Right? They were good.
Went mad.
Good paid guests to have. So I'm thinking, man, that's not going to really ever be
Doubt it.
that
Yeah,
level
it's
awesome
pretty tough
again.
to do again.
So, and the great thing is, if we make it a little more home scale, and maybe we have bad weather, people aren't as disappointed. Because, there's nothing they're missing. They're just stay a little less with their friends, or we might look at the weather and take into account that maybe we should have some overhead coverings between booths, which would be a wise thought if you thought it was going to rain. Like, if it was a good report, that you could just put some kind of, like, things down a runway so that people can move from booth to booth and still buy stuff, even if it rained.
Yeah.
Right? And then they just can come down as soon as the rain stops, or something like that. I bet something like that exists. So I think
Probably.
that's maybe in the future some concerns.
Yes. Well,
Just because all our sponsors in the
Yeah,
industry
they're
generally
just-
is very volatile.
the money's drying
I
up.
mean, I don't want to mention names, but there's changes going on, and you just
Yeah.
can't rely on that old sponsorship landscape like you used to.
It
Right?
got,
Yeah,
we were
and
very
everybody
close.
who's anybody knows who I'm talking about, right? But when all of a sudden a whole bunch of things are lacking the financial resource, especially in the media, like Cannabis. I thought Cannabis Life Network, that was the best broadcast I've ever seen come from. And yours, I've seen yours, everybody, but they're amazing. That was just the most amazing thing. When I saw their engineering booth with all the screens, I go, my God, we've reached that point. This is as good as it could get.
Yeah, they're very
Because
professional.
you can't do better. Yeah, that was amazing. That was a perfect day.
Yeah.
That April 20th will always be in my mind as just the pinnacle of 420s.
Yeah,
And the
I
model
was,
by which everyone else in the world can aspire to. Really, because that's how we'd want it everywhere. In Sydney, Australia, Johannesburg, all these places.
Everywhere
Big
in the world.
fucking thing where 100,000 people are in a Wembley-sized stadium in London, England, with fucking 500 retail booths and people smoking nonstop. That's what we all really visualize, that we're all that legal and free to do that.
Yeah.
Right? But it only happens in Vancouver, really. And to some smaller sense, it has happened in the past in Toronto.
Well,
I'm
it's
always
big
in
spots
awe of
around the world. Like Barcelona has a pretty big international cannabis event. Cannabis is pretty
Yeah,
big.
but you just don't have a big smoke-a-thon going on outside and taking over Gowdy Park or something.
People,
Yeah,
people
that's true.
setting up tables to sell weed.
Yeah, and
It took a long-
More trade shows.
especially 300 independents. Like,
It took a long time to get that set up, but by the gatherings of the people over time, they outnumbered the forces of evil. So,
and the thing is, we can't. We would have to buy $1 million in advertising to get people to not go to Sunset Beach because clearly they like it. A lot of people would go anyway. If they
Yeah, I
heard it
don't
was at
know
the
how you could-
PNE, they thought, PNE, what's romantic about that? Like
They'd never
you go to
let it be
Sunset
there
Beach,
anyways, 'cause
it's
they don't
Vancouver,
want
it's the
weed.
Pacific Ocean.
You'd
It
think.
competes with the sense that Hempfest has down at Myrtle Edwards Park. By the way, they get 250,000 people, and they've got nothing but cooperation from their city since the 90s.
Yeah, really.
Right. So the fact that Vancouver are the 420 here is without question the most beautiful event in Vancouver. That's what they hate to admit.
Yeah,
There's
it's
nothing
true,
else
too.
like it. It's the pinnacle of Vancouver's cultural achievement to be able to put 100,000 people at the beach restore the grass. No evidence we were ever there if you go down there now, right? Nothing bad happens. Nothing bad happens, and it brings tremendous glory to the city of Vancouver when it gets down to it.
Yeah.
Right?
And not
Because
a
this
roach
is a
left
weed
behind.
City.
Well, I know I travel for it.
Exactly, Jeff. When you probably met other people from Saskatchewan that came here as well.
Yeah.
Thousands of people. No, it was a magical day. I was talking earlier in the show how in awe I was as I arrived that morning to backstage and looked around and went, wow, this is the fucking big show here.
But, and I know you enjoy, you've been MC to small events and large events and all events pretty well. And I don't think you'd mind having a smaller venue. You're like more homey. I don't mean smaller. I mean less financially burdensome.
Anything.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I think it got up to $500,000 and it got so lucky. The city, as people talk about, oh, you guys don't pay for it. Well, listen, we pay it through the nose, let me tell you.
Lots and
for
lots of money.
everything.
It's
Right?
just
Except the
fucking-
cops.
Yep.
And we don't need the cops. What we could do is like we did in the old days. We don't need cops. If we need them, we'll call you. We all have 911 on our phones.
Yeah.
If there's something we can't handle, we'll call.
Well, maybe them there for a bit for crowd control, but those guys up on the roof.
No.
doing
Because if we knew they
surveillance,
weren't going to be
nobody
there,
needs
we
to
would
be
hire
there
our
for
own
that
people for that very same
What's
crowd
that bill
control.
worth,
Control what? The crowd in what way, though? They don't have any control of the crowd. They never have. And the crowd isn't doing anything needing to be controlled.
Yes.
Well, that's fair.
Solution in search of a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
An opportunity to fucking
That's
stand
their
there.
excuse.
Well, an
Hey,
opportunity to take money.
I wanted to come on and bring something up. I was just telling Jeremiah this, and it's a worrisome thing. And I've heard rumors of it and various things. And I'm going to tell you a bit of a story. When I'm in Transkai province, with the black people who live in rural areas that are so off the grid, they have no roads, no electricity, no running water. I mean, they have to save the rainwater, basically. And if they don't get rain, they get drought. Even though there's a river nearby, the government in power, the ANC, hasn't spent a dime to bring any kind of life-saving modernity to them, like that would allow them to at least get the river right beside many of their properties to pump that water up to their plants. Because my other point is they all grow marijuana. This is what they do for a living.
Yeah.
And if they have a drought,
Transky, that's what you would
then
do.
they're all in big trouble.
Yeah.
Because there's no welfare, as far as I know. Even the kids, it takes 2 hours to walk uphill to the school. The reason schools are built uphill is because they believe the evil spirits will have to come up to get you. And thus, young people have to climb oftentimes for 2 hours. Anyway, it's all pretty amazing. I feel privileged to be able to visit places where people live like that. But my point was, a strange thing happened when I was there, is that someone tried to explain to them that with new genome mapping of cannabis plants, that maybe those people could get money out of the plants that come from the Transkai, since it's their genetics. And I thought, these people are never going to get any of that money. They've been here 25 years, and the ANC has been in power, a black government, and they haven't got a dime. So they're never going to see any of this UN money or whatever it is you're saying. Are you kidding? It'll get stolen long before it gets to these people. But then I was disturbed by this idea that somebody's going to get money based on genetics coming from some place. So I learned a lot more about this recently, and that people are patenting and trying to... And I thought, but hold on. My understanding is that land-race strains are accepted because they are universal, and they said, yes, that is true. I said, well, isn't everything originally land-race?
Yeah.
Everything we've got now are crosses between land-race strains? How can they not be? The
They
only
are.
thing that existed originally were land-race strains. Like, in other words, a Colombian strain, and strains that grow unique to that altitude and that particular air.
That's
and
how
that kind of
it-
UV
the
and
first
sunlight,
hybrids
water,
were made.
And cultivation technique, isn't that what that is? And that everything we have is a cross between land-race ones. But I've been learning, no, people are patenting them and they want royalties. And I thought, Jesus. And I know this because I've been doing a lot of seed brokerage lately, even some of it legal, between LPs. And I'm learning that they're seeking people who are growing strains that aren't now owned. I'm going to be now owned. Can't you just grab any seeds and make 20,000 of your own? And like, why wouldn't you?
You know what you-
And they
you know
say,
what-
no, you're going to have to start paying royalties now if they... And I'm going, what? That's going to be a scam just to enrich a few at the expense of many. I see that. But
Well-
apparently that's what we're looking at.
That's crazy.
Well, I'm not too sure. Does that exist in the rest of the botany world?
That's what I mean.
Other
You
than
can still
with,
buy, like, strawberry seeds
Monsanto?
really cheap and everything.
I think it probably does.
Well, if you develop a strawberry and I get my own strawberry from you, and I get a seed and grow it, I can't use the name that you called your strawberry, but
They're
I
gonna
can
claim
use
you
the
can't use
genetics.
that seed at all for any
That's
commercial purposes.
bullshit.
I would
But
agree.
how
with
would
you.
you even
Yeah.
control
I would agree
that?
with you because this patenting of nature is a slippery, not a slippery.
But
slope.
how would you even control that? Like
Well, the thing is,
we selectively
as
breed
what-
all the
what
time.
they don't
so-
care about that right now. What they're going to care about is getting a law that allows them to at some point in the future, when they can just shine a light on your weed and determine what it is. And they're all working towards that sort of stuff. See, that's the problem with legalization, along with its many horrible things that
Yeah.
I feel somewhat responsible for, is the idea that we're going to let the state, that term, seed to sale,
Yeah.
tracking. Seed to sale. That sounds like fucking Winston would have heard in 1984. From the time you were born to the time you die, we will know every single thing that you do and think. And where you're thinking wrong, we will correct you.
Yeah.
Right? Some seed to sell, that tracking. So that's what all this stuff
Yeah.
It's they're going to track where you got it from, and if it wasn't from somebody they approve of, then you're fucked, right? And
Going
they'll probably
to the
steal those
farm.
people's patents because you're criminals, and we're the states, so we'll take what you have, and then we will give it to those who have curried our favor, legal entities. Believe me, it's a dystopian nightmare.
man.
Oh yeah.
Now, that having been said, ultimately the answer to all political questions, as I said, is grow more pot. Because
I plan to,
we
Mark, I
need
plan.
to proliferate and encourage everyone. Fuck this 4 limit. I mean, you know, some people, like Jody's grown 4. She's not going to grow anymore. But, you know, whatever. You know, for the rest of us, right, type of thing, I would say, if you are nervous or cops come and visit your home, you know what, though? I just can't see the police of Canada going in and seeing 10 plants and giving a shit
Well, they're not looking
anymore.
for that.
Unless they're investigating you for some heinous crime and they need to hang something on you. That's still a problem.
But, I mean, they're not
to
looking
the
for that.
ordinary
Nobody's
person
enforcing
that
it, right?
anybody knows, I'm sure they wouldn't even answer call. Hey, somebody's growing 20 plants in their basement. Really? Oh, wow.
How would they know?
Yeah, and how do you know? And what do you do?
No one would know. Like
Yeah,
no one
I
would
just
care.
don't think that's getting play in most of Canada anymore. I mean, one thing that's done is, first of all, the legalization's accomplished a few things. So while I hate almost everything about it, and I worry that these Canadian carpetbagger LP corporations are going to destroy our culture worldwide as they spread out like the Andromeda strain, right, or the
Yeah.
swine flu or something, H1N1. Like, I'm really worried about it, right? Because corporatizing our culture is as bad as infecting it with the aphids. Right, it's going to change it. It's going to mutate it. It's going to kill
spray it with some
the
pesticides
fact that
and
it's
shit,
oriented around people. Culture is survival with people. You can only survive so much co-opting by corporate or moneyed entities before you become a commodity and you're not a culture anymore. Right, so you're going to have to watch out for that. But anyway, where was I going with this, Greg?
Oh, Bill, you.
Just about to tell you something important, pivotal. Anyway, so
Well, yes.
All that.
it's not. No, I was going to tell you something good about legalization. And when I come out of a Toronto Blue Jays game, I used to smoke a joint, but I would still look around for cops. I don't really care if there's kids or whatever. I'm not. You know, it blows up in the air. I can't help where the smoke is going to go. Really, outside, I'm talking. But I used to smoke a joint, and I used to not worry about it because the cops are busy directing traffic. They're not going to stop about my joint. But now, it's legal to smoke a joint outside anywhere. So not only do I immediately smell weed long before I light up when I go outside, but the cops absolutely do not give a shit. They don't look anymore. You're not, and I will say this: I am
You can
way
get
more
a ticket
relaxed.
in Saskatoon.
Now, see, that's the
They
terrible.
made it a bylaw. You can't consume outside. You
Oh.
gotta-
Yeah, of
they
course
want you
they
to
do.
go
All
home,
Ontario,
your
it's just the
residence.
same rules as tobacco, which means you can smoke tobacco anywhere except the front of an entrance or in indoor spaces.
I know friends who gotten tickets. Is it like a $200
Oh,
fine
that's
in
terrible.
Saskatoon?
Well, fortunately, that's good in Ontario. You can
You-
smoke
the only
anywhere.
way you're exempt
and it
if you're
feels
medical.
different too because I smoke outside everywhere, and you do meet people sometimes in foreign languages, tourists, kind of not complaining, but only because they don't like pot people. So the smell of your pot reminds them they don't like pot people. They're
Yeah.
prejudiced not based on the smell, but on the reminder that you're the
It's-
kind of people they don't like.
It's not the smell; it's the stigma.
It's the stigma. Yeah, they think they're bringing the neighborhood value down.
Yeah.
You know, like blacks have moved in.
Yeah.
Right, or something equivalent to that in the old days, right? Oh my God.
And
that's
for
awesome.
some reason, they think they still have the right to treat us that way, even though it's legal now. Like it
Yes.
just
Yeah, the funny thing is, it
Nobody
kind of got
acted like
worse in
it's
so
legal.
many ways. Once they declared it legal, I got a notice on my door for the first time ever saying if they smell me smoking pot
Yeah.
or I grow 4 plants, they're going to cease my lease. And I wrote back and said, well, first of all, I can litigate against you if you do. And secondly, I'm a medical user. You can't do anything to me. But if I even hear anybody in this building getting turfed out, I will represent them because it's wrong. Our obligation is to make sure we don't stink up the building. I get that. I said, but come on. There's all sorts of smells of dogs in this building, of the people's cooking. And I said, and if you have a problem with my smell, tell me. I've got odor cleaners in my place at all times. I open the windows all that, So I'm doing what I can, but if it needs to be more, just tell me. Right? But instead you get this blanket thing.
You're
saying
banned.
You'll be evicted.
Yeah.
Right? And then in a case like your place, if you've got that and you can't go outside anywhere in Saskatoon, you're really screwed.
Yeah.
Right, if you're renting in Saskatoon.
But you're not
you can't-
allowed to have cannabis
and
consumption spots
you
either.
got no lounges, right?
That's
so
right.
that's still the case in Ontario,
Oh,
no
that's
lounges.
gross.
But I mean,
Everywhere.
Well, funny thing is,
You can always come to
the only
Scottsdale
thing that's
to
good
get
about
high.
Saskatchewan is your government licensed stores don't have to go through a government monopoly, which I like.
Correct. And there's a couple other things with the licensing too. If you get a micro cultivation or you don't have to sell your weed to an LP, you can go directly to the stores. You get a distribution
No,
license.
is that?
Only in Saskatchewan.
Oh, I was going to say because I haven't seen that
it's
micro
only
application.
it's only in
information.
Saskatchewan.
I'm doing my due diligence
Pretty
about what it
awesome.
would take to do an ethical LP. And believe me, it is fucked.
Oh, yeah.
Like, first of all,
I don't think you can-
2.64% of all your gross sales have to go back to the government as a cost recovery fee for the regulations that are single-handedly strangling you. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm mad at some LPs, but I don't envy them. That's a fucking big pile of bureaucratic bullshit
Oh, huge
and extra
pile.
fees and tag-ons and crapola. that they have to
Yeah,
go through
everywhere.
that costs so much money and must be like an endless headache and frustration because I'm reading it all. And first of all, let me tell you, these micro grows are a non-starter. The numbers do not justify anybody investing $1 million to have no more than 90 lights when on average you might get 450
That's
to
what I
700
said.
grand.
Yeah.
No, I did my due diligence. I thought, is it possible to
It's
have
not.
an ethical micro? No, it's
not.
the numbers. The most you
And
could
they
make
want you
if
operational
everything goes
before
perfect
they
after you've
approve you.
invested $1 million, hired people, and it'll cost you about $2.20 a gram. You'll sell it for $3.50. Some fucking big canopy growth. They'll get all the credit if you grow any good weed. So what's the incentive?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
You're only going to get $3.50 a gram for it. They're going to make all the money. Them and the retailer. You're
And the
making
tax
you're
guy.
making about $1 a gram. And I figured out on 90 lights, you might make $100,000 if everything goes right. Fuck, if you've got $1 million, I'll show you a guy who can invest it for you, who will guarantee you get $100,000 in interest on your $1 million every year. In second mortgages, you can get even more than that, but that would be a very conservative property. All property basically is going up, so it's almost risk-free compared to a pot stock. And
Yeah.
you can make $100,000 that way. So why would you take the risk that it could go very wrong if you got aphids, or you got an infection, or you got a
Spider
blight,
mites.
or you got fucking any number of
Or
things.
you don't know what you're doing.
Or somebody embezzles from you, or somebody, and boy, the
Tons of
stockholder's
that.
going to love that, hearing that you hired, So anyway, there's an endless possible nightmare. So I went over to it, I said, who would do this? Only a stupid person would do this, because you can't convert it to a regular. The only thing that makes sense is starting a real LP on a small scale like a micro grow, right? Because that can be done. You'll need more people, but essentially you have room for expansion. And so I'm exploring, is it possible to have an ethical LP where, say, 3% of all gross sales go to Jack Lloyd to challenge the Cannabis Act? Literally, each sale we do, we will try and help improve the Cannabis Act by
Yeah.
and Bill
You'll never
C-46.
appease
That'd be
to
good.
the shareholders like that. So how do you ever start
No.
a company like that?
Jeff, I'll explain to you as soon as I get incorporated.
Because I want
next
in.
week. Right, well, that's what I mean.
I'll offer up my growing
here's what I'm going to
abilities.
do. Here's my proposal. I already cleared it with lawyers. I'm going to incorporate. You're hearing it first. I want to form a corporation that raises $2 million. And if you put $5,000, one share, or $10,000, it's limited to that. You can't get more. So there has to be 200 to 400 owners. Now, for your $5,000 or $10,000, you own that exact percentage of the company. There will be no shares given out to anybody who works for it. I won't own any of it. But in giving up that money, you give me absolute power to make all executive decisions and fill every spot of employment and the board of directors. And in exchange for that, I own nothing. I don't even need to own it. And it won't even cost that much. You just have to pay my living expense, probably about $70,000 a year, because that can't be garnished because I owe back taxes. But otherwise, I can't really make a living in any conventional way because the government really sees it. And I still have $135,000 in a fine. So I've got various debts, and I don't need those debts to encumber what I want to do. So actually, I wouldn't own any of it. So you'd literally own, if you had $10,000, you'd own half a share, right? But I don't want anybody to lose their shirt. And I don't want anybody to be a dominant owner. And if you ever want to sell your shares, and I think after the 200 people have bought them, the share price will double or triple within a day or two. And you can sell them to those people. As long as they don't already own 2 shares, you can sell them to anybody in the world. There'll probably be people from all over the world owning shares, right? But the thing is, what I'm going to tell them is this. We're not out to make money fast. I don't want to lose money. But we're out to develop a great reputation. So that means if our first crop is not the best weed, we're just going to send it to extraction and start again. I said mistakes will be made, hopefully at a scale we can afford. But we're going to make them all at a small level, no more than 90 lights to start. And we're going to make them, all our mistakes, get really good, and then we'll talk about expanding. Then we'll do import-export. Then we'll get into this. But for now, let's just see if we can do a good job and sell great weed at a reasonable price.
There you go.
And I don't want to sell to a government monopoly. So I'm going to sell to the shops in Saskatchewan. So I would go on a tour of Saskatchewan, go to each of those shops and say, listen, we have an ethical LP. It's called this. And I'm Mark Emery. They're going to know. I'll make appointments, obviously. And I said, and we produce this kind of cannabis, and I think you should try it. And you should have it in your store because I don't have to go through a government. Therefore, government's not going to make any money from us beyond what they're stealing from us and that recovery cost and HST and all that other bullshit we have to do that costs. But I don't want them to make money on my stuff at any of and all the other provinces have a government monopoly. So ethically, I can only sell directly to a Saskatchewan retailer. So I'm really hoping that they stay like that because that's my whole LP is hinged on just selling to independent retailers who have a license, my LP weed. That's done ethically, right? And like I say, we'll have
That's a pretty good
certain
idea.
amount of gross sales, not gross. See, the thing is, people all say so much of our profit. You can work it so you never make a profit.
Yeah.
In our case, it'll be 33% of gross sales go right to a law firm. So with every million, it's 30,000 goes to the lawyer to help the people who are driving, who are getting pulled over ridiculously, to stop people from getting fined smoking on the street in Saskatchewan. Etc. Right now, that also has a corporate benefit because theoretically we should get good public goodwill for sponsoring those things. But our heart will be literally on our packaging and on our sleeves if we can do it. Right? Somehow let people know.
I like it. That's
So anyway, that's what I'm working on because I've been meeting LP everywhere around the world. So many of them talk to me and are showing me their projects and. A lot of them are frustrated. Throughout Latin America, a lot of LPs are producing stuff, but they got nowhere to sell it. No export agreements, no nothing. And my contention is the LPs here wouldn't even let them in. Right? Like when you think how much it can be produced in Colombia or South Africa. If I was a Canadian producer and it was all about the money, and my stockholders to whom I'm indebted to, I wouldn't be letting in those cheap imports. Not on your. I would let them sell them to me. So I could retail them higher prices, perhaps, which I think is more or less what's going to happen. The public will never see the benefit of those cheaper prices.
No, never.
Right? It's just some middlemen will make more money buying it cheap there and selling it high here.
Yeah, it's brutal, but I don't know. It's got to collapse. So
Anyway, Jeff,
Times are changing.
anybody's going to be able to buy 1 share or 2 in that company. And most of my friends will
That's
know
an
first. But I just
interesting
want to
idea.
emphasize, there's no guarantees here. I do believe it would work. As soon as we sold the 200 people and the money was there, it doesn't go anywhere. It actually just would go to the lawyer. I never see this money, except when I authorize a payment to something we're buying, like lights and everything else. The facility, all the consultants that you need, and there's a fucking pile of them, right?
Oh, there's no shortage of
Yeah, I know.
consultants.
Like everybody you talk to's got a team of people to
Yeah.
help you all through the process, right?
Well,
but whatever.
that's the new stick.
But at least with me,
That's
the
the new
process will
game.
be transparent because if any shareholder wants to know exactly where it all went, call the treasurer. I'll probably hire a team. Like, I'll to you and say you want a printout of whatever we did with all the money.
just like the old days.
And I'll be giving reports anyway because, if I fuck up, I'll tell people.
Yeah.
That could happen, right? Unfortunately, the grower, who said he went to Harvard was a fraud. Or I believe, no.
Maybe we should hire Bruce.
by
I
the
heard
time-
he's looking for a job.
Bruce Linton. Yeah, he's out of work.
Who?
Bruce Linton.
I heard he's
Yeah,
looking
Bruce
for a
Linton.
job.
You know what, though? He sold a lot of his stock about a week ago.
Yeah, you
With
bet he
hundreds-
Well, it
did.
was
million.
probably smart because it just
You
took a
bet
dip.
he did.
Well, he's been the CEO for 5 years. He's just made a fabulous amount.
Yeah. He'll be all right.
Although,
He'll
the
be all right.
highest paid CEO in the cannabis world is Tilray's CEO. That guy's getting staggering millions a year, 7 million.
Oh, yeah, they're not hurting
some
either.
kind of revenue. I mean, geez. I don't think Tilray sold as much in a quarter as I sold in my shop in a quarter.
Right.
So, but he's worth billions.
Yeah, but they had a loss.
So those are all the things I'm trying to. I want to see if it's feasible. I can easily, I think, raise the 2 million. That's not a question.
Easy.
But what am I going to do with people's 2 million, right? And how will that work? And
Open a facility,
is
a
it
five-star
possible?
facility?
Is it possible to have an ethical vision, right? And
Yes.
produce great weed.
Yes.
And be totally transparent and advocate for the repeal
Yes.
of the Cannabis Act so everybody can participate,
Yes.
not just people like me who might be able to raise a million. And I can't even really
And-
own that much of it. That's why I'm not owning anything. It's probably illegal for me to own anything, right? To own too much of it. So I know a lot of people, though, that would put money in an entity I'm controlling on their behalf. They would trust that because everything I've ever done in this field has made money. It's usually broken the law. So let's give this legal thing a chance and see if it's possible to change from within. Like giving money to Jack to go to court to change the very law that regulates my LP, right?
Well, let's hope the laws change because they're fucking ridiculous.
Well, no, they're absurd. But
Yeah.
first of all, we want to get rid of anything that infringes on our privacy. So people should be able to smoke in their apartment, on the street, anywhere at all.
Yes.
And then we'll start getting rid of the stigma. But any of these kind of regulations that don't apply to any other smell or any other culture, no, those are just there to keep us down.
Yeah. No, and to be
those have
spiteful.
To be repudiated.
No, yeah, I like that whole idea. It makes perfect
Anyway,
sense.
so
And here's
that's
the
my
thing.
first public
Welcome to the
announcement
new
of that.
adventure.
Here's the thing, too. All this time since legalization and all the time that anybody's been talking to an LP, you are the very first person that ever said it'll be really good weed. No shit. Not one of them has ever said that. I'm serious. They have never mentioned the quality of their marijuana and what they're going to give to me in any form.
Yes.
Never promised anything around cannabis at all, other than good stock prices. And
Yeah.
right.
I
So
used to
that's
yell at
very.
my customers, if you don't
Well.
think this is the best cannabis in the world,
Yeah.
I'll give your money back right
And
now.
that-
You don't have to give me the weed. I just want to hear you say this wasn't the best cannabis you ever
Yeah.
had. And no one ever took me up on it.
Well, make
And that's
sure
a
you
line
hire
of
the
40
best.
people.
And that's all I
Hire the
really
best
want.
people to do the best job, you'll get the best result.
Also, I was willing to pay for the best. So, you
Hire
know,
a
even when they were,
professional.
for the best, you would pay $2,500 or $2,600 a pound here in Vancouver. That same pound cost me $3,000. I had to pay $400 a pound to bring BC weed. Even though Toronto has weed, it's just not the best. It just isn't. It's because of the water, by the way.
I
You know,
got
the
it.
secret to growing great weed. Because, you know, I thought to me, what's different about people in British Columbia versus people in Ontario or Toronto area? And I went through everything. Half the people in BC are from Toronto and Ontario, right, that are growing. You
Yeah.
have the same equipment. The UV is essentially the same. The parallel's a little higher, but, you know, Canada's basically Canada. The difference is the water. We have reservoir rainwater that's not treated very much, and a lot of rain. And in Ontario, they've got water from Lake Ontario. It's recycled 21 times and uses a variety of chemicals and cleaners to basically sweep out everything in the water. Now, actually, ordinary lake water probably would be better untreated for plants. Because
Wow.
the things
Yeah.
that we don't want to
Potentially.
swim in, that we don't want to drink, a plant will do fine with. Right, the various crap and silt and things that are in
The
that will probably
pollutant,
help these
yeah.
plants, but that's not what they do. They got to kill it. They got to kill that water, clean that water, so that it's in neutral. It's not good for us, but it won't kill us, and there won't be any pathogens in there. Well, people who give their plants that kind of water are going to get substandard results, and that's why.
Interesting.
I never bought anything but Cinderella 99 from somebody who managed to produce a really good product at the right price. From in Toronto, everything was from BC or Montreal. Those two places could have geniuses there. I mean, everything I got from BC was amazing. But I paid $400 to $500 a pound to bring it there, and that's a risk too. Some guys got caught. Right, I'm not
Yeah.
going to pay to bring it there. It's got to show up in my front door, and I will buy it for me. Right, so that's how I did, because I don't want to be in shipping. Because one day, a big box comes to my store, and the side's been cut open. A big, huge panel has been cut open, and it's been retaped back. It came to me, so the post office thought it's probably weed, so they opened it up to see what it is, and it was all cannabis culture mugs. just a big box of mugs. Oh, well, they couldn't steal that from me, so they sealed it all
Taped it
up.
back
And
up.
they
Oh
sent
my
you-
God.
Oh, I got some funny stories about running
That's
a
hilarious.
transparent, open, free market store in the middle of Toronto, right? And the cannabis, Canada Post people were always amused to bring anything, wondering if it was the next shipment of oil or weed.
Scott Lamont's from the greater Toronto area. He grows some of the best cannabis in Ontario. He was just featured in Skunk Magazine as Canada's next heavyweight grower.
Huh.
And
That's good.
You need to get in touch with him back east. He's got some of the best weed I ever smoked. He's won a couple cups at the Prairie Cup as well. So shout out to Fat Farmer. He just took home a bunch
Fat
of cups
Farmer.
of the Unity Cup in Winnipeg this weekend, I heard. So
I know him by that name,
yes.
not Scott.
Sorry, Fat Farmer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, we got to
So, yeah.
together so you can get some good weed in Toronto.
Well, if we spread the word about water, you can get good water. You should try and trap as much rainwater, wild water, and then you can clean it if you want to. But most
you get
important thing
reverse
about
osmosis systems
water
too.
taken out
That's
from
actually-
nature is just the pH. Any
Yeah.
wild river or northern, river that starts near its source is going to be pretty good for a plant if the pH is good. Even if it's got stuff we wouldn't drink, that's not going to affect a plant.
Yeah, but
Right? The
pH
plant is
can
drawing
be-
out nutrients, and
We
it just has to be a
mix
nice, good-
we mix that kind of shit with the water
Yeah.
and
Right.
then give it to the plant anyway.
It's usually
Depending.
adjusted by
But
either way
Toronto,
by
most
vinegar
people
or
don't
salt.
think about it, so
right?
they're clean. They're using water that's been just too thoroughly chemical and clean, and even if it has the right pH, it's just not great water.
That's right.
Right? And that was the only
Well-
thing that was different between BC and Toronto. So I thought it has to be the water. The water here is a better quality, a better pH, especially outdoor. If you grow
That's-
outdoor,
yeah, it's got
the
good
water here is
pH.
terrific.
Huh, interesting. Well, that's cool. What a good idea.
But that having
Huh.
been said, I remember when Brown Dirt Warrior was doing his videos, over the 10 years he filmed his crop, he only successfully pulled in 3. Once it was helicopters, then he had to move. Once it was teenagers. Twice it was drought. Once it was flood. And he has pictures of all of them. What was great is what a crop looks like after the cops have done it. Or the kids have thrown it. Or the fucking flood
Flood
comes
taken
through.
out.
And it is like a mush. Or the drought. And that
Drought happened.
withered up things. And so, man, it's tough to make a go of it outside.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, listen, Greg, it's been fun. I'm going to go see Jody and see what's going on.
Cool. Well, we're
Good to see you,
glad
Mark.
you could
Yeah. Hey,
stop by and help
I'm
us.
going to Vancouver Island, Tofino, good old Tofino. You come
Nice.
into the area
Oh,
for a
yeah.
couple days.
Going to the West
Powell
Coast.
River, yeah, see that
Oh,
beautiful
good.
nature, see eagles in their area and all that.
I'm going out to Quadra Island soon.
What's in Quadrant?
I'm going up. I'm going Gibson Glass. That's where he's from. He's been inviting me there for I don't know 9
Who did
years or
Gibson's
so.
Glass?
Huh?
I met that guy.
Yeah. Gibson,
Oh, no
yeah.
doubt. Yeah.
Gibson's been around
Where's
for a
his?
long
Where's
time.
it on
He's
Quadrant?
on Quadrant,
Yeah, it's a
yeah.
perfect place for those.
So I've never been. He's been
Gambier,
inviting me.
Quadrant, all those islands, because you can be anywhere. If you make glass, you can get all your equipment. Then
Yeah.
you should live in isolation, right?
Yeah.
Just make your glass and then bring it in. That's what they all do. You don't meet any glass blowers in the city. They're all out there and deep
Yeah.
off the grid or something. Muskegon Island.
Well, he says it's great out
It's the only
there.
place I know where people have a windmill to keep power their house. Everybody's
Right.
got a windmill and their water's all solar. And it's like, hey, this was the dream 50 years ago and it's still lives here in
Yeah.
Muskegon Island.
Looking forward to seeing it.
Oh, you've
Be my
never been to
first- I've never
Muskegon?
been to Quadra in my
Yeah, but
life.
Quadra's got power. It's not off the grid.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, Lasqueti has no.
Nothing.
They voted never to get it, and so okay, they don't pay much in taxes at all, except for road maintenance. So that's it, because everybody else has to supply their own power. So when I was in a house
Living off the
for a
grid.
number of days, they just said everything works, but you can never run more than 2 things at a
At
time.
once. Yeah.
Right. So if you have the music on, it can only be this. Right. If you have the water heater on. But you could still work it out. In fact, it organized your day nicely, right? Like you could just cranking it up. You at nighttime,
Yeah.
you could listen to music, and the fire would provide the light. But you had flashlights as well. And then if you really needed an oven, they had everything. Then you use So I don't know.
Well, I'm not trying to go
That's
off the
pretty
grid
cool.
that much.
No, but it was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience.
Nice grid.
And there aren't many places in the world that are off
They're
the
like
grid.
that. No, that's right.
And there's no cars going. I don't know how you get there because you take a ferry, but it's a human ferry. They take food over there, right?
But,
From
no
Vancouver Island. It's
cars.
a long way around. Texada Island is like only hop, a skip, and a jump over a little inlet, but everything has to come from Vancouver Island so it can enter a harbor on the one side. Anyway, Tuskegee pretty fascinating little place. Anyway, this is all a beautiful British Columbia. I'm thinking I might move back here too.
Oh, nice.
Spring.
Well, that'd be good.
Because Toronto doesn't have great weather. It's not that beautiful. There's construction everywhere. I generally spend the winter in South America or South Africa or places like that anyway, because it's the same price as Toronto.
Yeah. Well.
So.
Yeah, not much going on in Ontario.
I put this LP, right? But I want to put it to where the people I'm going to hire are most of them are the people I know here, right? So. Nepotism will reign supreme.
It's where you get the BC.
Only friends. And,
the only place you get BC Bud is here.
Yeah, it's still pretty good here. Now, fortunately, I grew a lot of weed last year, and I'm still basically got lots of that to go.
Nice.
And it all turned out great. 96 plants all came in. Now, unfortunately, the 3 gardeners I did hire to grow it all, under my supervision, they had a fight, and one guy stormed off with 48 of the 96 plants. And though they were going to be paid in plants, he wasn't supposed to take really all 48, but they had a dispute. So he called me up to say, "Is that okay?" I'm going, "Well, I guess." Right? You just bugger off because you're having an argument with him, but whatever, right? So, and then by the time you pay for everything, I'm not even sure it's worthwhile. You end up paying in some senses. I'm glad I grew a lot, because most of it I had to hand over.
Yeah, right.
Cost, right, when it gets down to it. So.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, still, it's all these things have contributed to me thinking I could do an ethical LP if it's possible, and in which case I won't use anybody's money if it's not possible, right? Well. So all this exploratory stuff, I'll use my money, and then I think, hey, this can be done, then we'll go from there. But if it can't be done, then I don't want to bother bothering anybody else until until I'm pretty sure it's possible.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, because everybody else I've met who owns these LPs, they're idiots. They're not from weed. They don't know anything about it. I can't believe people gave them money. I can't believe people gave them money.
I know, right?
To develop a company in somewhere they have no passion, no expertise, no experience, and don't really know anybody.
Yeah, and no track record,
yeah,
nothing.
No track record. And they can't advertise.
We got a good consulting job for
Canopy or Tweed and Tilray, their track record was the worst weed anybody had ever smoked under the medical program when they were doing that. The worst weed, no one wanted to buy it. Well, and Prairie Plant System, but here they're the ones that are given the opportunity. You go, well, they should grow all the recreational marijuana. You go, well, fuck you. You don't need them. The worst people? Come on, they're not even trying.
It's unfortunate, too, how it's divided the community into the people who went to the dark side and the people... Now, people might say, well, Mark, didn't you just say you're trying to do an ethical review? Yeah, but my transparency will be different from everybody else's. You'll know everything that's going on.
Everything.
You'll know who owns it. You'll see we're giving money to challenge the Cannabis Act, right? I'm making next to nothing. Employees are only going to be hired to the hours we need them there to get the job done. Nobody's going to get stock shares. Nobody. Other than the people who paid, there's none of that. Nobody's getting deals, so you get stock. That stock will never be diluted.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise, it's like you get a stock, it keeps you keep owning less and less of the company as they add more shares or give $1 million out to everybody's stock option who is working for them. All the people they don't need, like cops and all this bullshit. Well, let's see. But I'm going to find out after my due diligence what is involved, and we'll see if it's even possible. Maybe it's rigged. Maybe it's so rigged it's just not possible.
Maybe.
Right?
Well, we'll see.
My idea of an ethical LP.
Stay tuned. You heard it here first.
Yeah, we will probably be own temps, and I'm sure a lot of my friends will, just to see what the fuck happens.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm going to intend to make some money for people over time, but it's the over time part. In 5 years, we'll make money. But, and we might make some before then. But you know what? To establish a good reputation in this environment, that's going to take a little bit of time. To get the great weed, I would be arrogant to tell you that I'm so good at hiring people and doing shit and growing that it's going to be awesome weed as soon as it comes off the... No, it's not. We'll have weed that's not the best. It will just be good. Maybe we'll have some of the best and some that's good. Wow. Hopefully it'll all be priced to the satisfaction of everybody who buys it. And we'll have, to some degree, a money-back guarantee. If you don't like our weed, I want to hear about it, right? Like, you talk to us, because We want happy customers. If
Yeah,
you're
that
disappointed,
should be
This is
the
bad.
focus. That
This
should
is
be the
bad for
focus.
us.
Packaging.
If you are unhappy, you will tell people you're unhappy. I don't want you to feel unhappy. I'll do anything we can as a company to make you satisfied with the products we produce.
That's
and that might
all.
mean sending more weed for free. I mean, I'm sure it will. And that's just
Yeah.
the way it is. When you're trying to get into the marketplace, you better make sure they're happy. At least that's how I think. So that's what I mean by ethical.
Free weed
Just by
project.
normal business principles.
Yes.
We won't spend what we don't need to spend. Nobody's going to get gratuitous stock options and shit like that. I'm not going to get more than $70,000 in total compensation per year for at least the first 2 years, right? And anybody else is going to be like, you can see what we're paying them, and it's not going to be anything outrageous, right?
No.
Because
It's a
hopefully
good idea.
everybody's in on the plan.
It's just like
hey,
the
in
seeds.
5 or 10 years, maybe we're all going to be making lots of money, millions and millions, just like the fantasy, and you
Well-
will all get proportionate along with the shareholders. But until that happens, we're just a starting off business, and everybody gets, my 70,000, I could earn that running someone's bong shop, right? Possibly, right? So for me, it's let's see if we can do this, and I actually after 200 people buy it, and we have all the money, and it's goes from the lawyer to the incorporated entity to be spent to build a facility or get a facility, I would expect those shares should double and triple in value virtually overnight, at least in a short period of time, because that's it. There's just 200, and you can sell them for whatever you want. You just can't sell them to anybody who already owns one or like 2 shares, because it still has to be no more than $10,000. Because I don't want anybody to lose
Yeah.
their
No.
shirt at $10,000. Nobody's gonna won't ruin their life if I screw up so bad that it doesn't work out. But on the other hand, maybe they'll get 50 grand in 5 years for that. $5,000 or $10,000.
No, that's very possible.
I like to think
And-
that's
Maybe it'll grow into
because
Cannabis.
every other business I ever had in the
Never
weed
know.
business was successful. So I'm thinking, okay, I did great volume in seeds, and I did great volume when I sold weed. So if I'm looking after this entity and we apply the same principles of quality and customer service and satisfaction, it should work out. Right? That's
you
what
would
I
think.
do. That should work out.
would think.
But I've never seen such a regulated entity.
I think so.
government thing before. I've never seen something so strangled
Yeah, it's a lot
and
of hoof
suffocated
jumping.
by and I've never hired a
You gotta have
consultant
a
in
lot
my
of money.
life. Never hired a consultant in my life. If I ever got
Two.
a building
No
or
shortage of 'em.
I just
Yeah.
get a contract and say how much do it. But this idea that I need people to help me hire people, help me get licenses, help me get all this,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
Oh,
And
no,
those
it's
are
a-
the people making all the money. by
It's
the
a
way.
cash
Sure
grab.
Those are the people
For
making
sure
all
they
the
are.
lawyers, all
That's why there's a
the
lot.
all the
Yeah.
consultants,
The
everybody
middle- the
I ever
middlemen.
met who ever
That's right.
wanted, who
I
liked
call
to
them the shit talkers.
and not only that, those
A lot of
people, once they
shit,
join the
man.
system, they never criticize it.
No,
They never
they
address
want
any of
more
the
rules
the
that they can
problems.
Yeah,
That's right.
'cause
charge you
rules are
for.
bread and butter.
They'll
Rules
tell
are
you
the
it's
consultant's
fucking
bread and
perfect.
butter.
Well, the whole program is rules. The new legalization is all about rules.
Market weed industry. How many consultants did we have? Zero.
None.
On that note, I'll see you guys.
Cool. Well, glad to see you, man. Yeah.
Well, we'll talk more about that as that thing fleshes itself out too.
Yes.
And thanks for the water, gentlemen. Great to be on the show, Greg.
See you soon. When are you taking off? You take off when?
Oh, I'm going to the Sunshine Coast and the island Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Oh, yeah.
And then back to Toronto. And then Columbia, July 20 to August 10.
Well, cool. I'll have fun.
Have fun. Take care, brother.
So,
Well,
there you go. Huh? Makes for an easy show when you say, "Here's Mark."
here's Mark. Yeah, he wraps it right up.
Yeah. So,
I still had fun.
always got something new and fresh on his mind every time that I talk to him. Right? I was thinking about that earlier today, and I was explaining to somebody how around the office Mark would come in and we'd talk and stuff would be current in the day and we'd say things, and later on that day he'd have interviews, and whatever we talked about in the morning kind of went into that interview, right? No matter, and then the next day it'd be something different, right? A different focus on it. So, no, he's a fun guy with a lot of good ideas, and he's right about everything.
Well, let's hope he can transparent and can make that successful. That'd be kind of cool. Hopefully, we can get the best growers
And
doing work
provide the
someplace.
best weed.
Give them
That's
the best weed. Yeah, if guys like Ramo could come on board and grow, you know.
that is a good promise to make to
Right.
me as a consumer.
For
All
sure.
right, you're you're gonna grow good weed. Well, that's
If you
good to
don't
hear,
like
because
it won't even go to market.
Canopy Growth has never said that. Chilray's never said that. None of them have ever said that.
No.
Right? Not one of them has uttered anything about the quality of their cannabis. So
Well, they'll tell you it's good.
they don't even tell you
My
it's good.
cannabis is fucking
They don't give
excellent.
a fuck because they don't have any. So, yeah, cool. Well, we should get out of here, eh?
We should.
Thanks a
Get my
lot.
car out of the parking garage.
Thanks for joining us today, Jeff.
Thanks for having me.
Good
It
to
was fun.
see you, and well,
See you too.
we'll be
I'm back
around.
around in 2.5 weeks.
Nice.
So,
Well.
trying to hang out with you misfits again.
We'll see.
Yeah, and then I'll happily see you in November at the Prairie Cup, I hope.
Oh yeah, I'll have to get some winter clothes and
Yeah, a heavy
Fucking
jacket.
little
You'll be
pro-
all right.
little propane heater.
I'm actually gonna reach out to the pod gods and I'm gonna say, hey, look, can you just try to stretch that nice October weather a little deeper into November?
Oh yeah, it'll be cold. The cold
We
October
won't have to
weather.
be outside very long, I promise. Everywhere we go and smoke will be heated and indoors.
Yeah, I know. Wonderful. Yeah, well, I'm gonna do my best to be there, for sure.
We'd love to have you back. And the whole Pot TV crew.
Everybody.
Neil, too.
Oh, Neil.
You know how
Oh, come on. You said you're heading back. It's home. Yeah.
What do you mean it's home? Your parents live there? One of them.
Yeah, it's where family is.
you lived there for a long
Time. I wasn't born there either, but it's now home.
I'm getting this list of excuses. Oh no, I lived there a long time, and I wasn't born there though.
I wasn't
and,
born there. I'm a prairie boy all the way. I was born in Red Deer, Alberta.
Your mom or dad lived there?
Yeah,
Both. In Saskatoon.
Saskatoon.
Huh? So, they might have a place for me to sleep when I come out for the cup.
well, you know,
There you go. You won't be down the street from the bar this time. So, no senator.
Yeah, I don't know about the senator.
Yeah, it's in a whole different area of town. So,
Oh, really? There's another area of town.
yes, it's not in downtown. It's kind of on the east side of our city,
Huh?
sort of
Huh.
to the northeast of our
To
city.
the northeast
Yeah.
for us Google Earthers.
Right. So, but we're trying
They'll
to
look around.
You purchase a ticket come August 1st. As soon as you get your ticket and you paid for it, we'll send you a confirmation email that reveals the location of the venue spot for people who purchased a ticket online. So, we want you to make sure that you feel comfortable and know we want people to be safe. We're trying to avoid the new Cannabis Act and any kind of violation that might bring. We want people to be safe. That's always been my cup. I want you to have fun, and I want you to be safe, and I want you to come and judge a beautiful judge kit and hang out and meet celebrities from the pot community you normally wouldn't get to. You know, like it's Saskatoon's a small place, so for something like this big to happen and all these people to come from all over Canada is pretty amazing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this year.
It's true and
Number
fun.
9.
Number 9.
Yeah.
Number 9. Huh?
So,
Well, cool. I'm sure it will go off as beautiful as always. Well, you know, fuck, it was right downtown. Everybody knew for sure what was happening, and never a problem.
yeah, I'm hoping the new location.
There's no reason to think that anybody gives a shit beyond that. If if they didn't like it right downtown, then they're gonna hate it out there a little northeast. Not in the northeast, for God's sakes. Now we're gonna have to shut this thing down.
I doubt it.
No.
So,
We partied beside an RCMP wedding one time,
Yeah,
next
again.
door.
high all night.
And all they asked was that the vents be covered so the weed smell didn't leak through.
And we did that.
Yeah, and that was it. No complaints. Party on. So I don't think they got a problem.
See you in November then in the prairies.
Yeah, man.
The cold prairies.
Right on. Well, thanks for tuning in.
Take care.
Thanks to Anil, too, for flipping the switches for us. And till next time, I'm Marijuana Man. Peace.
I'm Jeff Lundstrom.
And pot. Ta-da.